Hello. This is Corey Thompson from Dice Tower Dish, Above Board TV.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 346. And we're recording this on December 8th, 2024. Board Games Insider.
Is it the 8th? Oh, wow.
Board Games Insider is proud to be powered by Board Game Geek. Corey, we are sitting together again next to each other. This is beautiful. You look more like Santa than ever. Santa coiffed.
You're the one who's
I have a little
forgotten to shave.
Not forgotten. This is a sculpted beard. I used to grow it every year. This is a very beautiful sculpted, sexy beard.
You worked really hard on that stubble.
I do. You know, it takes me much longer to curate this beard than I bet it does for that beard.
It's like a weekend.
Oh, stop. Hey, we're together. Why are we together? We're together at PAX, as you probably know, because we've been talking about, PAX, and we're going to talk more about the show and the announcements and all that stuff as we go through the episode, because it's obviously been a great show already, and the numbers are tremendous. But yeah, Corey. But first, let's get into your life and above board and all the stuff that you're doing. So let's take it from there.
Yeah. So I arrived at PAX late because I was filming Friday night a follow-up Santa bit where it's a Santa bit where Carl Claus tries to get a job. It was really fun, but I took a red-eye flight into Philly.
That's awesome.
Arrived at 9 in the morning yesterday, and this is the biggest PAX I've seen.
It's unbelievable.
It was so crowded, but so many good friends everywhere. So
yeah.
I've absolutely loved everything so far. Today's Sunday, so it's going to be the
last
tail end day. So I'm here for 2 whirlwind exciting days.
That is awesome. And you've been eating your way through Philadelphia.
Oh man, all the meals are scheduled.
It's crazy.
The lunches, the dinners, the breakfasts, everything.
I mean, I'll go a little bit here too, since we're talking about food. But I found Tom's Dim Sum that I had never been to.
I went my first year at PAX.
Unbelievable place. Soup dumplings.
Yes.
So 2 words. Soup dumplings. If you've never had soup dumplings in your life, you're missing out on something.
That's what they're famous for. I think I'm going there Monday.
Oh my God, it's so good. What else are you doing here, though? I mean, are you having a good time? Are you gaming at all?
Of course. Haven't really had a chance to game too much. I did go to the Asmodee media release party. I think you went as well, but we went
on different days.
I was blown away. There were so many good games. They finally announced the Great Western Trail card game.
They did.
And it's El Paso is the official name of it. It's by Alexander Pfister. I was lucky enough to playtest it with Pfister when I was in Vienna.
Very cool.
Loved it and was sworn to secrecy, which I'm so bad at.
Don't tell Corey any secrets.
And then Crafting the Cosmos by David Gordon and Tam.
It's so beautiful.
It is gorgeous, and it's right up your alley.
Again, it's another one of those things that speaks to me thematically, certainly. But you're playing. I don't want to say you're playing gods.
No. The best description I heard is it's a Civ builder, but you're building the universe.
You're building the universe. You're crafting the cosmos.
Out of gravity and light and energy and elements, helium, hydrogen. It's
very
pretty.
wild. Yep.
Yeah, David Gordon's knocking it out of the park. He's got a new game announcement every 3 minutes.
And Tam. Let's mention both of them.
They're working together.
They're a design team, and they do a great job together.
There's Monkey Palace was theirs, the Lego game. Mm-hmm. Floristry is a gorgeous 2-player Dutch auction game. They're doing great.
That is fantastic. What else? Anything else going on?
Not a whole lot going on so far.
You're new here at PAX, so I'll take over.
I've whirlwind.
I'll take over. Before I get to any of my PAX stories, I'm going to mention again that when this drops, which will be on Wednesday the 11th, is that the correct? Yes, that is.
You're so good.
I'll be in the middle of the Dice Tower Winter Spectacular. Now, I'm not going to be on air or anything like that, so you won't see my pretty face. Well, I will be on air a little bit, but I'm there for the World Series of Board Gaming. So we're gonna.
Very cool.
I'm gonna personally label this the champs versus the chump. because two of the World Series of Board Gaming ring winners will be down there, and they'll be playing against Dice Tower, the Dice Tower people. But the chump is Tom, of course. So come watch that, because they'll also, the more important part of that is they'll also be talking about their experience and why they've loved playing at the World Series of Board Gaming. And then John Hagmeyer and I will be there and do a quick half hour about it and give you guys discount codes and things like that. So check us out at the Dice Tower Winter Spectacular. It's December 10th through 12th. When you're hearing this, if you're hearing this on the first day, and even if you're hearing it after that, you can go over to the Dice Tower YouTube channel and see the videos and just look for the World Series of Board Gaming videos that we've done during the Winter Spectacular. A couple things in gaming, pre and during a little bit of PAX. Terraforming Mars, I reported last time that I've been playing with Paula, and I had not beaten her yet. I have finally beaten Paula at Terraforming Mars.
I predict you will continue to play her until you win, and then you will never play again.
I have just beaten her. We've been playing now online because it's very fast, and we were just sitting here. We had like an hour to hour and a half or so, whatever it was, and we played a quick game, and I beat her by 1 point. So I finally have beaten her, and I'm still playing online I'm in an online game with her and our friends Kevin and Chad. And another game I'm playing. So I've been kind of rediscovering the whole thing. It's such a beautiful online implementation. The Board Game Arena one particularly, but even the app one is great too. So just really fun. Now onto the trips and things like that. PAX U, just amazing. Seeing friends, as Corey said, it's just been absolutely great. I mean, really, it's so energizing, the way I kind of put it, to see sometimes the same friends, sometimes different friends, but keep seeing all these people. And it's wonderful that we have this common thing to do constantly throughout the year.
It's such a good community. Everybody's so outgoing and friendly. Random people I haven't met before just coming up and visiting because we have this common interest.
Right. Share a drink, a meal, play a game, amongst our people. And I just think that's just fun. But here's some interesting stuff that's going on here. As Corey mentioned, it's so big. I have it on actual authority, not even like on good authority. I have it on actual authority. They will be announcing the official number. This is for the first time ever. They're going to announce the official attendance, and by the time that this comes out, they will have announced. So I think I'm okay to say it. It will be in excess of 40,000 unique people. That is an astonishing number.
It's a big con, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers here, but it's really starting to compete with Gen Con.
I mean, it is on every level. The exhibit hall is tremendous. This convention center is so big.
It's a wonderful exhibit hall.
So I was told that they have to count. I mean, it's easy to count the sold badges. It's a little harder to count all the exhibitor badges, all the media badges, those things. So once they get that final total, they will announce, and that number is going to be in excess of 40,000. Approaching 45,000. Now, for the comparison's sake, Gen Con is 70 and change, 71 or something like that.
Yeah.
Essen doesn't count this way. They count turnstiles. You buy a badge, it's 4 days, you're 4 people, so to speak.
And they had 200,000 turnstiles.
And they have 200,000 turnstiles. So which one of Gen Con? We always talk about which one's bigger. They're both large. I think
everybody agrees that Essen is bigger.
Essen is bigger. Gen Con is number 2. This is easily now number 3 board gaming convention in the world. So it's astonishing. This is now twice as big as Origins, more. So it's pretty insane. Anyway, if you get a chance, come here. Some of the games that I've to point out in particular, the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, trick-taking game has released here. Corey and I were privileged to play the prototype.
Well, I mean, some very talented playtesters, I think, tremendously contributed to that title.
I'm sure they did. Is that what you were? You were one of them. Anyway, it's here. It's released. They only have like 100 copies a day, sadly. But you're going to be able to get this retail. It's Asmodee.
Gorgeous production.
It's a gorgeous production, and it's a small box. It's trick taking with the heavy theme of Lord of the Rings, the book
and
itself.
I'll just hypothesize if there were a sequel to a book like The Fellowship of the Ring, it would also make a tremendous trick taking game.
There's no real secret that they're gonna be doing all the books. I think it's okay for us.
Pearls.
I think it's okay for us to kind of say that if this thing works, which it's gonna work. Other games, Survive the Island is here, and it's selling great. I actually picked up a copy of that because I just have to have it for the legacy that I have with the game. Yeah. Flip 7 continues to get great buzz.
Oh, for a big group of people, it's hard to beat.
It's so good.
It's really easy and really fun.
Yeah. And a game I played yesterday, I almost don't want to mention it because I'm actually going to try to get it for Play to Z, I think. We're going to see if we can do it. It's a game called Gibberers.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. You're creating a language in front of you. It's like a party game, but it goes on for a long time. It's like a 2-hour game. Easy. You're creating a language slowly over time, and the words that you're trying to communicate get harder and harder. So in the beginning, you might be trying to communicate food using nonsense words, like by pointing, what you're saying them, but kind of pointing at the cards too. So
Sure.
Things so that people understand what you're saying. Like it could be like hunt animal, but you have to say this like uga naka. That means hunt animal because that's what you've created in your language, and then you can use like a thing, like showing it that is going into your mouth. Hunt animal into your mouth. Oh, food or eat. So it was so interesting. But later in the game, you have to do things like dark matter. So how do you do that in a primitive language? Well, you have to start creating words in your vocabulary that can be of a higher order, like science, technology, measurement, right? It was a really, really interesting thing. So Gibberers, it's from Hobby Japan, so we'll see if someone picks it up like Play to Z.
They do some really good stuff.
They really do.
Hobby Japan does Rumble Nation, one of my favorites.
Oh, that's cool.
10-minute area control game.
Right. A couple other quick things to shout out. The Game Theory Tables has been pushing their table that has the huge like embedded television monitor in it.
Oh, yeah.
And they've now partnered with people to use their software and show how it can be used on their table. Amazing. And they also, another company that connects lighted dice to the software. So when you roll the dice on the table,
it reads them.
The software reads the dice and then shows a huge die coming out. It's so amazing.
I'm really curious where this goes because it was probably about 5 years ago there were lots of these electronic board gaming surfaces.
Right. Well, the difference is here, this is agnostic to the game you're playing. It's just that it's a touch screen that you can use to run software.
Well, there was a boom of these, like I said, about 5 years ago from what at Cool Mini at the time had Taburu, which was a very specialized one, all the way to the big tables. I think you have one that'll do Monopoly and app games like that.
Yes. Mine's a very tiny one. It's more of a conversation piece than a really good
it's cool.
gaming thing. But anyway, that was cool. And then, we're going to get it. I went to the Shut Up and Sit Down event.
Nice.
Where they might have announced a very important thing that I hinted at the end of last show.
Really?
So we're going to talk about that as part of the news because it's pretty big news. The only thing I'll mention is that Play to Z is right now is running the Game Found campaign for Tales of the Arabian Nights. It's killing it, everybody out there. So if anybody doesn't know about this game or knows about this game and just wants to get a copy because it's been out of print for a while, go over to Game Found, type Tales of the Arabian Nights, or just Tales, and you'll see it come up. It funded in 60 minutes, and it's now over $120,000, something like that. So it's doing really good, and it's
such a fun,
great game.
Storytelling toy box game. It's the amount of content is just mind blowing.
Yeah. Oh, and there's like 10%. I talked to Zev last night, just in some general terms about it. A solid 10% more paragraphs been written for this new thing, right? So you get all that story that you had, but now there's more stories that you can explore.
It's a lot of work for anybody who may hypothetically have been reached out to maybe do voiceover for it.
Hypothetically, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see if that comes to. We'll see. Let's get over, Corey, to the event deck. All right. So, as I just implied, Shut Up and Sit Down and Play to Z announced a strategic partnership. So, Shut Up and Sit Down is now by far the largest of the board game media out there. They eclipsed the Dice Tower years ago. They are bigger than Watch It Played. So Shut Up and Sit Down is number one. They will now be curating a game line with Play to Z. So
Fantastic.
they'll be putting, I mean, yes, it is like the Dice Tower Essentials. I'll create the comparison right there. But with Shut Up and Sit Down, they are literally going after finding classic games to bring back that they have just loved. And they've talked about games for years that they have loved that are out of print. So it could be games like that. Or it could be brand new games. So the first two games in the line that were announced are Animal Rescue Team, which is a Matt Leacock game with a co-designer, Lisa, oh gosh, I'm sorry that I don't remember her name, but she is an actual animal rescue person. She has true pedigree in this. So you're out there rescuing animals and saving them, bringing them back. Cooperative game from the king of co-ops himself, Matt Leacock. Beautiful artwork, great theme.
And the components are gorgeous. There's little
cars,
little meeple cars that you put your dudes in, and
sometimes you don't have the right equipment. It's like you can't rescue a cow, on when you're driving a motorcycle, where you could have rescued a lizard or something like that. I don't know the actual animals, but Zev spoke with Shut Up and Sit Down, and they played it, and they said, "Oh my God, this is great." So that's the first game in the line. The second game is one that they specifically said, you need to get this game back in print, and it's Dogs of War. Which was a CMON game. A CMON game back in the day, overproduced. I don't mean that in a bad way. Lots of CMON Chrome and all that.
That was their thing.
That is their thing, basically. So we're going to do it in association with Shut Up and Sit Down in this. By the way, the line is called Shut Up and Sit Down Presents. And we're going to come up with a way of putting it out that's going to be price friendly to everybody out there. So we'll have less Chrome, but you'll be able to get the game back in its pure form.
I just want to say Animal Rescue Team is Matt Leacock and Lisa Towell. I am so sorry that name just slipped.
Yep, sorry about that. But I'm really excited about this. Obviously, this is a huge to-do for Play to Z. To have this kind of partnership with such a great media channel. So thank you to all the guys over there that are helping us out and bringing these great games out.
Yeah, and I've been hanging out with Matt Lees from Shut Up and Sit Down. We hit it off when he came over the house.
That's right.
A while ago, and it's just such a nice guy.
Yep.
We've become fast friends.
Very, very cool. Continuing in the news, Hachette inks a deal with Edition Spielwiese. Corey, you had this one here, but I'll start her up over here. So, Hachette Board Games inked an agreement to distribute Edition Spielwiese's catalog of games. Edition Spielwiese is the German publisher behind Micro Macro, Puzzle Trilogy, and Pray Another Day. Their games had previously been entering the U.S. market via Pegasus Spiele. This agreement allows Hachette to distribute Edition Spielwiese's English versions of the game.
So it's a big move by Hachette, who has been kind of compared and called like the Asmodee of France. They've been collecting a lot of companies within France, and it's just more big news from them. And they are hitting it out of the park. They're putting out such great games, most notably their association with Sky Team.
Yeah, exactly. I had a relationship with Edition Spielwiese back in the day on the Stronghold. We did a couple of their games. Good guys. Very, very, very smart group.
Yeah.
Next one is The White Castle Forest Shuffle win the Gouden Ludo, the Flemish family game of the year. Did I do okay on the pronunciation there?
I don't know my Flemish.
Yeah,
I mean, I have a bit of.
We both are a little phlegmy today from partying a little too hard.
No, that's a terrible joke.
Terrible.
So there's a bunch of board game awards. Obviously, we all know about the Spiel des Jahres, but each country has their own, from Golden Ludo to the As d'Or in France. So this is the Flemish Board Game Award. So congratulations to White Castle, which is follow-up to Red Cathedral,
right?
By Llama Dice. And then they're just doing great. So
yeah, thanks. We like to cover the awards because these things can help out companies too.
Forest Shuffle hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
When it was released at Essen, not this one, but the one before.
The next one is interesting because it's showing that the industry is maturing on some levels because workers are getting together and trying to get better benefits and better pay and things. So there's a strike at
Acrylicos Vallejo. So old school painters and wargamers, you remember your tester paints, and you remember this is one of the big brands was Vallejo paints. Nowadays, we're a little more dominated by Citadels and paints that are directly connected to Games Workshop and Warhammer.
GW paints.
But this was one of the old school model and miniatures paint companies. So the news out of ICV2, workers at the Acrylicos Vallejo paint factory in Barcelona have gone on picket lines in partial strike. So it was 98% supported by the workers, will be indefinite. So, we're hearing it all over the place. This is a fairly major player within the board game community, showing workers' rights.
Right. So, interesting to know, Will, if we get any more news on that. They did say it's indefinitely, so we'll have to find out how that shapes out. This was good news, certainly for retailers, and the general state of the economy is that Black Friday retail sales were up year over year from last year.
Yeah.
So Black Friday sales were up over last year, with online sales leading the way, according to MasterCard Spending Pulse. Overall sales on Black Friday were up 3.4%, according to the report, with online sales, which typically include orders placed online but picked up in stores, up 14.6%, and brick and mortar sales up 0.7% over the same day last year. For the full weekend, 197 million people shopped in stores or online, according to a study released by the National Retail Federation. That's down slightly from the 200.4 million shoppers last year, but still the second highest ever and ahead of the NRF's expectations of 183 million shoppers.
Yeah,
these are really good numbers. It's showing that what we're seeing in general in the economy, and this is a overall economy thing. This is not game necessarily related, but this is important in general for all of us.
Yeah.
That we are in a business cycle. I literally just had a conversation with my financial advisor, and I'm not my own financial advisor, Corey, and you're not my financial advisor.
Are you my financial advisor?
I am not your financial advisor. But I just had a conversation with my financial advisor over Fidelity, and we were talking about and she was advising me about the business cycle and where we are in that, and we're in a late stage of the business cycle, approaching when we may go into a recessionary moment. But you don't have to go into recession. It depends on other factors and how the Fed can create a softer landing and things like that. It's a very interesting conversation about where we are in the business cycle, and these numbers are showing good signs that we may not only have a soft landing, but we may actually skirt past a recession. That would be a lovely thing.
Awesome. So the next one was I found really interesting, and it just shows kind of the inner workings of advertising and things of this nature. Facebook had banned advertisements for the board game Votes for Women. This is by Fort Circle Games, and what it really is pointing at is a lot of the larger companies use AI and filter mechanisms to figure out what is a good ad, what is a bad ad. It's a problem that they do have to face. And unfortunately, those mechanisms will pull out ads that are perfectly legitimate. So Votes for Women was pulled from the Facebook advertising site due to the history of the U.S. Supreme Court being a sensitive social issue. It's a fantastic game by Fort Circle Games, and what also makes it notable is this is the second time Votes for Women has been, I'm not going to say targeted, but it's been picked by the AI filters.
But let's make sure we have everyone understanding it. This is not. We can rail against Facebook on many levels. We can rail against all social media, but this is AI not doing its job correctly. Simply not being human.
I'm railing against the automatic fence posts, the automatic guards that are there to keep you from advertising. This really horrible thing.
And the sad portion of this is that, and I know many people have been affected by things like this, is that once the AI does this, you're screwed. You're essentially screwed because
It is.
there's no way to go past the AI to customer service. They don't have the manpower, the people to say, oh, obviously Votes for Women is a historical board game.
And it's fantastic board game.
That doesn't even matter, right?
Yeah.
It could be the worst board game on the planet. It's not. It's a great board game. Fort Circle is knocking it out of the park. And they're doing a historical board game about when women got the vote. The 19th Amendment, is that right?
I thought it was 18th.
18th, whatever it is. Apologies again for not having facts exactly right. So, and it's really absurd that these things happen, but it's sad, and they just do. I have had friends who their Facebook accounts have been hacked.
The 19th, you are totally right.
Thank you. Remember that.
1920. Right. You were totally right.
There you go. So I've had friends with their Facebook account hacked, right? And they just couldn't get it back because they can't get past the barrier to say, guys, this is me.
So
I can prove me.
Hard to find actual people.
Yeah.
So previously, during their Kickstarter, their ads had been pulled, which was harmful for the Kickstarter for the company.
Right. Crazy stuff. All right. That is all the news for the week. We're going to go over to strategy and tactics.
Well, all right.
So again, guys, I want to remind you that we are at less than one page of questions out there in the strategy and tactics thread where you post these questions. We're now taking questions that are, only a few months old, so to speak. So
unheard of.
We're like taking questions from May. So if you put questions out there now, you're probably going to get picked within 6 months. So please, and when we do all the questions, so please throw us some questions, whatever they are, even things that we've talked about already, but we haven't talked about in years. Put it out there.
I got a question.
I don't
How you
want
doing?
your. How you doing?
How you doing?
You're a sexy man.
I know.
I do much prefer the short hair on you, and the relatively well cropped beard.
I had to get all prettied up to play Business Santa.
Steven Sauer from Canada. He's at Steven Sauer. He spells his name correctly, too. From May 16th, he asked this question of 2024. Publisher question. After the initial pitch in person, if you are considering publishing a game from a designer, how important is having a digital copy a publisher can play online versus taking home a physical prototype? Is one better than the other, or are both just as important? Side note, I've been using screentop.gg, I do not know this one,
Yeah, I know
to
this
digitally create card-based game prototypes, which also helps me playtest without all the setup. You want me to take this one, or I'll start?
Well, the short answer I know is it depends. There are some publishers who always want physical because there's certain pitfalls and you can fall into if you only do digital.
Sure.
And there's certain publishers who don't want to be bothered with the mailing and the physicality and want to always have a digital copy.
That's true. But I tell everybody who comes to me for this advice, right? Designers come to me for this advice, and Steven here is a designer. I say there's 4 things you have to have when you want to pitch a game. You must have a sell sheet, otherwise known as a one-pager. It's the back of the box, so to speak. You know, what's it about? Some pictures that actually show the game, even the prototype. All of the highlights. What are the selling points of the game? So the one pager. You want a physical prototype. You want a digital prototype, and you want a video of you explaining the game. Your face doesn't have to be on it if you're shy.
Yep.
All you got to do is put you take your iPhone or your nice Android camera and you put it there, like facing down at the table, and you just show the thing.
And the goal of the video is not to do a Kickstarter preview video with CGI and bling. The goal is to show off how the game plays.
Right. Go through a round. So with those 4 things, and like some of those are kind of new. It was, back in the day, we weren't asking about a little video. We weren't asking about a digital thing. But all of those are important. And as Corey said, it's going to be dependent on what the publisher wants to do. Some of them get together constantly, physical copies. That's great. And it depends on the implementation, of course, online is so variable. Sometimes it's hard to play roll and writes, online. And
and
I've been testing roll and writes online recently, and they're hard to do.
They can be tough. The other one is these pitfalls. If you only design and only make your prototype digital, savvy publishers can see this. They'll see things like, man, there's a lot of shuffling in this game because it's automatically taken care of by the digital implementation, but in real life, this could be a problem.
Sure.
There's a lot of piles of goodies. There's a lot of things all around the table. How physically would you be able to see all these?
Yep, exactly. Clint Brubeck, in friend of the show. He's at Cheese with a Z. Clint, you're doing well, Clint. This is a good question you're giving us.
I love this question.
Yeah.
Clint's,
First of all, he says, Merry Christmas, if my estimate on when you get to this question. It's pretty darn close. Dude, Clint has done really well. He goes, what does it mean to be powered by Board Game Geek? Does Aldi brew Stephen Corey coffee and Ignacy tea? Do they just promote the show by posting your lovely mugs on the front page of Board Game Geek? Are they hosting the actual audio files of the podcast? Do they make you host a copy of Masters of the Universe, the Board Game Clash of Eternia in the air, and make you proclaim the power of BGG? I have the power before each podcast. Okay,
we have to do that before.
He got silly. He gets silly at the end there, but that's. I mean, it's a great question. So, previously we were on the Dice Tower Network. It was a way of helping co-promote the podcast, right? The Dice Tower Network has gone away.
It was a loose association of a whole bunch of otherwise unaffiliated podcasts.
But we left, and I don't know if it was coincidental or not. Literally within a couple of months after that, Tom kind of dissolved the whole thing anyway. Maybe because we were the best one out there. But anyway, so I approached Scott Alden and Lincoln Damhurst. He's in charge. Lincoln is actually in charge of the content, not the non physical gaming stuff that's sitting there, but all the media. Let's call it. He's in charge of the media, and they were like so happy because we do something. I hope that you guys agree that is different than any other podcast. So having a business podcast on Board Game Geek. They thought was a good idea. I thought it was a good idea. Everybody here did. So they accepted us as being part of the family powered by Board Game Geek.
Yeah, it's promotion. It's us, scratching each other's backs.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with audiophiles hosting. It has nothing to do with hoisting things in the air. Aldi does not brew us coffee and beer and tea.
He probably would if we asked. He's like the nicest guy ever.
He may be the nicest guy on the planet after you. No, after me. He's nicer than both of us.
He's much nicer than you.
Of course. So that's what it means. It is a way of them promoting us promoting them. And that's what all of these kind of networks are about.
Yeah.
Okay. Ryan E., who's at Oz Radio.
Yep.
Steven, I'm planning to bring you some beers from Kansas City region to Gen Con. On your extensive list of sampled beers that you have recently mentioned, have you tried some for the area that I should avoid, or so I could maximize the number you can add? Well, Ryan, I don't know that we did hook up there for beers, and you posted this question on July 15th, so now you can see how close we are to getting questions there.
Some people call that running really late.
So no, he was late to post this question because then we didn't take it. I didn't see the question, of course. But Ryan, I probably have had very few beers from the Kansas City region. If maybe next time send me an email and I can tell you the ones that I maybe have had or not had. So, but thank you so much for even thinking of that.
Long email. He's got some opinions.
We'll take one more and then we'll move on. Basically, because I'm out of questions here and I didn't put more into the show notes. Chris Dupree, I show behind the scenes to people, right? We take the questions off the website and the guild, and we put him here.
He's incapable of keeping this script up to date or readable.
Chris Dupree, he's C. Dupree, from July 21st. Good day. Just wondering if
everyone had a least favorite board game mechanic.
Okay, there's a couple words missing from this sentence, but yeah, if you have a least favorite board game mechanic that you had to push sales on or had to create. Okay, so something that maybe.
Have you ever had to promote a mechanic, or let's extend it, mechanic, game, or theme that you personally don't love, but you know is a good product?
That is a tough one. I've always say that I'm not a heavy Euro gamer, and I obviously pushed a lot of heavy Euro games in my. I play them. I certainly play them, and I recognize them as being great. But I don't. They're not my big go-to. Games. But so I'm just gonna say in general, ultra heavy Euro games. So some of the Freedom and Free stuff gets kind of heavy. Some of the Fister stuff is kind of heavy stuff.
That's my bread and butter.
You like that? I know that.
I do. For me, it's party games. I'm not real big on party games.
Okay.
Especially werewolf style party games. I just generally don't play them. But I recognize really good design in some of these. So I've hyped up party games and werewolf games and Blood on the Clock Tower and things like that when they aren't really my cup of tea at all.
Exactly. So yeah, we obviously have to push games that aren't something in our wheelhouse sometimes. But I think that people like us, people like you too out there, can recognize a good design. That's
what I was going to say.
You recognize a good design. You say, I want this
games, you can say, wow, that's really well done.
Right.
I don't like playing it, but man, that's a well done game.
Exactly. You know what? I think we got to get to playtesting.
Uh-oh.
All right. So, Corey, you asked this question last week, so you can always, tell us about it.
I think I ask all the questions.
Now, in this particular round of set of questions, you've been asking most
60% of the time, I ask 100% of the questions.
Oh, my God.
So, the question is, do you unshrink and punch your games as soon as you receive them, or right when you're ready to play them?
And we got a really long set of answers because I think everybody
was a hot topic.
Yeah, I think everybody essentially has this on their head. Like, I either do it immediately or I wait forever. So just some things that I'll mention here. Mike Patterson, he says, I am in between this. I definitely have it punched and organized before my first play of games. Sure. However, if there is not an imminent opportunity to play, then it might sit for a while and shrink. Usually a couple of days before playing a game, I will have it punched, read the rules, the videos, watch in preparation of teaching it to others. If the opportunity is not coming soon, I will usually open up the game simply because I can't wait. Adrian Dong, if it is a crowd-funded game, even if I'm not playing it soon, I will do an inventory to make sure everything is there. That's actually a really good idea. So I can get back to the publisher if something is missing. If it's a retail game, it's more likely to wait till closer when I'm going to play it.
Sure, and I know a lot of people like keeping their games in shrink so that they can see, I haven't played that. So, yeah, we've got an answer from Ben Stein. I heard you got to meet Ben in face-to-face.
He did. He reached out to me via Messenger, and he had told me a great story about, and he really praised things that we said recently. He has a child that came out, born male, came out as non-binary, and he really liked the stuff that we said about Mass Effect. So thank you for that. And then he reached out.
It's a really important subject for me.
It really is. So.
Of course, when I was in Maryland visiting, I got to hang out with Ben and his friends.
Yep.
And it was such an amazing visit. We had such a good time.
Right. So, but Ben has answered our question, and we did meet. Ben and I met, and Ben was so great meeting you.
So Ben says, I almost always wait until I'm ready to play a game with my friends. It prolongs the newness of the game that even a title I purchased months ago feels like it's brand new when I open it up. And it offers a communal experience with my friends, can also enjoy the opening up of a new game and take part in setting it up as we all learn how to play it.
Very, very cool.
And I know there's a lot of people out there that it's an ASMR experience, almost like a...
ASMR?
ASMR. Did I say it wrong?
I don't know what that is.
I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but it's just the pleasure in seeing or hearing a repetitive, ritualistic thing, like punching. is just an ecstatic thing, or getting your hair combed, or hearing the sound of bacon cooking or something like that.
That's interesting.
There's a lot of videos like that. Okay.
ASMR. Did you know I got this is an anecdote. We do go off on little tangents. I got this is more common now, but I had a game that was kind of pre-punched in the box that came out by me, and I got people angry at me because they wanted to punch the game.
A lot of people love the punching.
Yeah, it's just an interesting little anecdote. So, this is a long time ago.
ASMR is autonomous sensory meridian response.
Oh my god.
It's a tingling sensation that usually begins on the scalp and moves down the back of the neck and upper spine.
Wow.
And it is in response to a ritualistic repeated sound, feeling. Anyway, what I was leading to is I have friends, most notably Dr. Jason, who we've talked about a little bit, a friend of the channel, who live to punch games. Jason will come over my house and beg me to pull everything that's in shrink and punch them all.
Jason has issues. I love Jason.
I like punching games, but it's not to that level. He takes it to a whole other place.
Peter Woken, good guy, good friend. I always keep them in the punch board until I know I'll be playing the game, just cause I reference a lot of different games. I'm a keep it in shrink most of the time guy.
So Eric Lagnebeck, if I buy a game in a store, I try to get it to the table within 72 hours, then I usually punch them and read the rules a day ahead. And that's a really good point that a lot of people brought up is you kind of want it punched for your guests, for your players ahead of time. And if you're the one responsible for learning the game, it's so much easier to learn if you have all the pieces punched and ready.
Well, yeah, absolutely. If you're going to be playing it, then you pre-punch it. But that's the point. It's like I basically won't touch it until I'm going to play the game. So thank you for all those responses. There's a lot of them out there. We only took a small
That was
sample.
a fun one. I really liked that one.
So Corey, yes, you did another question for us.
Oh, did I?
You did another question. What is it, Corey?
So, question for next week. You are heading to a game night. Your regular game night, a new game night, whatever. You are packing your bag, which I believe traditionally is a blue IKEA bag. You are packing your bag to bring to game night. What is the perfect number of games to bring to game night?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting question. I, these days, have mostly been packing lots of small games. It's just, to me, I don't have a game night that I go to all the time, though. I've been hanging out with the Phelpses at their bar, their brewery, and there's a game night every Thursday. But I don't go every Thursday because I'm traveling, right, all the time. Sure. So I'm always bringing smaller games that I can play really quickly with brand new players.
And I know you love bringing Kabanga.
Yes,
that's been one of your favorites for a long time.
Go-to Flip 7 now, of course, is becoming that kind of
for
thing.
For me, Duck and Cover.
Duck and Cover is fantastic. So to me, it's the answer to the question these days is lots of small games. Back in the day,
that's such a simple answer.
It's simple, but back in the day, I used to host all the game nights.
That's
so I would have I'd have every game in my collection there.
I would go to the friendly local game store, and bring an IKEA bag. And the usual deal is 2 heavy Euro games, one that I wanted to play, one that I know well, 2 lighter games that are filler games that can play. You want to have the game for a large game group, for something with more than 5, maybe up to 7. You also want to have a 2-player game in your bag, because if the group splits and you end up with as one of 2, you want to have a friendly game. You want an old favorite that one of the people in the game group had mentioned at various times, and then if there's any brand new things that you just want to show to other people but not necessarily play.
All right, that was the most complex answer to a simple question of how many games do you bring.
Oh, it's not a simple question.
It's not a simple question.
No, there's so many levels to this.
So we've already created a thread for you out there to answer for us. So please go to the Guild and Board Game Geek. Find the play testing thread for this question. Post your answer there, and hopefully we'll talk about it next week. In the meantime, final scoring.
You want to bring some rolling rights, too, I think. Just because,
Thank you so much for listening, and help us spread the word about the podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. If you want to be part of this podcast, you can. Go over to the Guild on Board Game Geek. Make sure you're a member. Ask us questions. for the our strategy and tactics segment and answer our questions to you from playtesting. It's all there for you. Hey, start a thread with something just general too. You can always talk to us in that way as well.
Yep.
Interact with us on social media. Amazingly, our handle is the same all over. It's Board Games Insider, Portal Games US, Podfather Gaming, Dice Tower Dish, Play to Z Games, Above Board TV, Nerd About Show. And you can catch us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky.
You're on Blue Sky now?
I love saying Blue Sky. It's so funny. Blue Sky. All this. It's the cool thing. All the kids are doing it. And of course, YouTube. But special call out for the YouTube channels because they're the bread and butter of everything these days. Portal Game Studio, the Podfather of gaming, and of course, Above Board TV.
Of course.
We'll see you at an upcoming convention, but it won't be until 2025 because this closes out the entire year here at PAX. So hopefully we'll see you Dice Tower West. I'm a special guest of honor in February at MarsCon. I doubt
Special guest of honor.
I don't know what I am. They've invited me to come out MarsCon. So
that's awesome, man.
It's gonna be interesting because it's not only board gaming. It's pop culture gaming and stuff. So we'll see.
Love it.
Board Games Insider was professionally edited by Jake Thompson, son of Corey. And thank you, Jake, for being part of the team. And that great voice you hear doing your intro, the outro, in between segments. Ray Greenlee. Go talk to him if you want some voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Ray, I see every year at the show. Sadly, this year we didn't get a chance to hook up for various reasons. So, Ray, love you, man. Next year we'll have our little lunch again. Corey, that brings us to the end of the show. Do you have anything new you want to hint at? Any above board things you want to tell people about?
There's so many things in the fire. I don't even know.
When is your Santa? When is Carl going to appear?
Before Christmas.
I hope he will.
I mean, we filmed it 2 days ago.
Okay, well, I mean, it takes you sometimes a little longer, but these
are
a
little bit of editing.
But...
And it was really great. We had a special guest on the Santa thing. Coincidentally, I spent the weekend with Peter Atkinson, who was the original founder of Wizards of the Coast, and he might have been kidnapped by Santa. You just don't know.
He might have been what?
Kidnapped by Santa.
Kidnapped. You kidnapped Peter Atkinson? Oh my gosh. Peter created Gen Con. Peter was originally, as you said, with Wizards of the Coast, one of the founders.
Was the original publisher of Magic the Gathering.
Oh my God.
And Pokemon cards.
So just think about Peter's impact on the industry. So
such a nice guy.
What a great
guy. Tremendous. He's a sweetheart. He's an old hippie like me.
All right, everybody, take care. Thank you for listening and watching. See you next time.
See you, everyone.
Bye.